Hello, friends. Welcome to all of you on Books Build Minds. Today we're going to talk about the book Focus on What Matters by Darius Foroux. Every morning, with the first ray of sunshine, when we wake up, many thoughts are swirling in our minds. Today's work, people's expectations, what to post on social media, who to reply to, what will happen at the office, what will family members think. All these things together create a mental pressure that can spoil the mood of our entire day. But if we understand one thing, our life can become a bit easier. And that thing is the dichotomy of control, meaning what is in our control and what is not. Stoic philosophy, which is a very ancient way of thinking, teaches that peace and happiness are only possible when we focus only on the things that are in our control. We learn to let go of everything else. To explain this concept, Darius Foroux has started his book with this very thought. He has explained it with a very modern and relatable example that connects with every person today. Imagine you post a photo on social media. Now you fully expect people to like it and leave good comments. But if someone says something bad or people ignore it, how do you feel? Sad, angry, demotivated. But wait a minute and think. Are others' reactions in your control? No, right? You only had control over what photo you posted, with what intention you posted it, and what you yourself think about it. Everything else, people's thoughts, their time, their feelings, is external. And when we link our peace to these things, we hand over our happiness to others. Foroux explains that if we want inner peace, we must understand that we only need to focus on our actions, not their results. Meaning, if you're preparing for a job interview, your focus should only be on whether you prepared well or not, whether you put an honest effort or not. Whether you get the job or not is not in your hands. The company's needs, the level of other candidates, the interviewer's mood, all these are factors that are uncontrollable. We often get upset for this very reason. We want to control things that were never in our hands in the first place. Someone didn't reply. Someone ignored us. Didn't get promotion. It rained. There was traffic. We get unnecessarily upset over all these things. But if we think like the Stoics, we can understand that our energy should only be spent on the things we can change. This philosophy is useful not only in big decisions, but also in small daily situations. For example, if someone interrupts you or doesn't praise your work or treats you wrongly, in all these, you can only control one thing, and that is your reaction. Whether you get angry or handle it calmly is entirely in your hands. Foroux says this in very simple words. We face two types of things every day, controllable and uncontrollable. And if we make a habit to first identify in every situation which category it falls into, then our reaction and mindset can both improve significantly. If something is uncontrollable, wasting energy on it means we are giving ourselves unnecessary stress. Imagine you're going to an event and it starts raining on the way. Now, you can get upset and complain, or you can take out your umbrella and enjoy. This simple example shows how our perspective decides our experience. Foroux believed that mindset is a lens through which we see the world, and the dichotomy of control gives us a clear lens. Sometimes we think it's possible to change others, but the truth is, changing someone is not in your control. You can only set your own boundaries. Keep your expectations clear, and train yourself to behave in a way that you want respect from others. When you change yourself, situations indirectly start turning in your favor. Another interesting thing is that when you focus only on your controllable actions, a different kind of confidence starts to build within you, because then you start seeing every result as a learning opportunity, not as a failure. Foroux tells that when he understood this concept, he realized that being afraid of many things was pointless, like rejection, criticism, or uncertainty, because all that was not in his control anyway, so there was no point in being afraid. Career uncertainty is something everyone faces nowadays. Someone loses a job, someone is unhappy with their salary, someone isn't finding purpose in their work. But if we see this uncertainty from the perspective that it is beyond our control, we can learn to accept it and then start putting our efforts in a direction that is in our control, like learning new skills, networking, proving ourselves in projects. Similarly, the pressure of social media, feeling less by seeing someone else's life. If you like our free summaries, you can subscribe to our channel, buy our membership, or support us via UPI. Now, back to the summary. Feeling insecure by seeing others' achievements. All this happens until we understand that all that is not in our control. We can just live our life honestly. And when we focus on our own actions, habits, and thoughts, comparison automatically fades away. Foroux says that when you understand that peace is possible only when you learn to let go of control, then your life starts moving in a different direction. You become more relaxed, focused, and present, because now you live every moment with acceptance, not resistance. This concept teaches us that the easiest way to handle stress is to detach from the outcome and attach to the process. When we focus on the process, we grow, learn, and mature, and that is real success. Every day, when you face any situation, just ask yourself a simple question. Is this in my control? If yes, take action. If no, let it go. Gradually, this practice will become your habit, and clarity and calmness will come into your life. I end this way. Stoic philosophy and Darius Foroux' simple yet powerful explanation gives us a mindset that is very necessary in today's fast and confused world. The peace we search for outside comes from within, and its path is understanding control and applying it correctly. If you adopt this philosophy, maybe the problems won't end, but their impact will definitely reduce. And that's what we all want, a peaceful, clear, and fulfilling life. When we think deeply about life, we realize that many troubles come not from outside, but from within us. We think a lot about ourselves. We think repeatedly. We get scared. We try to prove ourselves. We seek validation from people, and yet we are never happy with ourselves. One way to understand these emotions and thoughts is to slow down, sit down, and talk to your mind, a kind of self-meditation. And this is exactly what those letters do. Every letter is like a small meditation. In this book, every letter is about 2 to 4 pages long, but what is said inside it reaches straight to the heart and mind. Every letter is based on one specific theme, like fear, overthinking, comparison, chasing validation, or letting go. And because these are small reflections, they are easy to read and make you want to read them again and again. It feels as if a close friend is explaining to us, or perhaps we are reading our own heart's words on paper. Every letter raises a question, and then slowly find the answer to that question. But we find that answer within ourselves. For example, one letter talks about fear. We all struggle with some fear or the other. Sometimes a fear of failure, sometimes of rejection, sometimes of being alone. But this letter explains that more important than avoiding fear is to understand it and face it. This fear has come to teach us something, not to stop us. When we sit with fear, ask it what it wants to show us. Then we start getting clarity. Then, in another letter, there's talk about overthinking. This is very relatable because we all think about something repeatedly. Someone said something, a situation didn't turn out as we thought, or we get anxious about the future. This letter teaches us that thinking continuously doesn't bring a solution. Rather, it creates more confusion. When we get stuck in overthinking, we get disconnected from the present moment. This letter teaches us how to stay grounded. Breathe, pause, and trust that whatever has to happen will happen. Not everything needs to be analyzed again and again. Another powerful letter is about validation. We all want approval from people in some way, whether it's likes on social media or praise in real life. We start measuring our worth by others' reactions. But this letter gives a gentle reminder that our value is already there. We don't need to prove it. When we try to become perfect in others' eyes, we drift away from ourselves. But when we connect with ourselves, the need for validation gradually decreases. Reading this letter feels as if someone has spoken our heart's words. The most beautiful thing about these letters is that they are written in very simple language. It doesn't feel like you are reading some heavy philosophy, but rather as if a friend has written an honest letter to us, taking us a little closer to the truth. Every line has an honesty, a softness, and perhaps that's why these letters connect so deeply. After every letter, you feel like stopping for a while, thinking and absorbing that thought within. These letters are not a quick fix or motivational speech. They work slowly, like light rain that soaks the earth deeply. While reading them, you feel that you don't need every answer right now. You just need to know that you are not alone and that you can grow slowly. A special thing about this format is that it is repeatable. If you read a letter today, and then read the same letter again a week later, its meaning feels even deeper. Because every time we look at that letter with a new thought or feeling, it's like in meditation. We observe the same breath every day, but the experience is different each day. Similarly, these letters bring new meanings every time. Reading these letters is like having a conversation with yourself. When we read a letter, it unlocks something within us. Sometimes old memories, sometimes a buried feeling, sometimes some clarity. And in that moment, we understand ourselves a little better. And perhaps this is the greatest gift, the ability to connect with oneself. Some letters are a little raw, like those written on grief or loneliness, but this pain is also shared in a very authentic way. It doesn't feel like we're just being told to be strong or think positive. Rather, these letters allow us to accept our emotions, sit with them, and slowly move towards healing. These letters can be read in any order. There is no rule about which one to read first. Pick up a letter depending on how you feel that day. This freedom also feels very soothing because it reminds us that healing and growth are not linear. Sometimes we have to go back to gain the strength to move forward. Every letter is a gentle pause. It gives us a little break from the rush of the fast world. It teaches that not every answer is found in a hurry. Sometimes you just have to sit and listen to the voice of your mind, to the whispers of your heart. And in these letters, we find that quiet voice which says, "It's okay, you're doing fine, just breathe." The biggest merit of this book is that it doesn't tell you that you need to become better. Rather, it reminds you that you are already enough just as you are. There is no performance here, no judgment, only acceptance. And perhaps this is what is most needed in today's world. Every letter is a gift for the mind, for the heart, and for the soul. And when you read it, this experience is not just of reading a book, but of a journey that is not outward, but inward. And this journey is the most beautiful one. If you ever feel confused, feel low, or just want to spend a little time with yourself, then return to these letters. They will slowly lead you towards a version you always were, but had forgotten. And every time, they will remind you that clarity, peace, and self-love are not outside. They are within you. I end today's world. One thing is constantly pulling all of us: distraction. Notifications are coming from everywhere. Every moment something new is visible, and our mind can't even stay in one place. We sit down to do something, and within a few minutes we pick up the phone, start scrolling, and then forget what we were actually supposed to do. This is a digital noise that Darius Foroux talks about. According to him, this noise is not just sound. It is quietly eating away our clarity, focus, and ultimately our life. Foroux says that our attention is the most precious thing. This is not an overstatement, because whatever we achieve depends on how we use our attention, be it learning, relationships, career goals, or self-growth. For everything, we first need to pay our attention. But when the attention itself is divided, when every 2 minutes we switch to another tab, when at every beep our mind wanders, then we cannot connect deeply with anything. Think about it. When we are talking to a friend and check the phone in between, we are neither able to listen to that friend completely, nor truly feel that connection. Similarly, when we are reading a book or doing some work, and the mind keeps running towards some other thought or alert, that moment is slowly lost. This distraction doesn't just eat time. It is also silently destroying the peace, creativity, and satisfaction within us. Foroux emphasizes that we must learn to protect our attention. Just like we save money, keep valuables locked away, similarly we must consciously guard our attention. He says that in today's world, attention is the real currency, and every platform, every brand is after it. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all are competing for our attention. And we, without thinking, are just distributing that attention. One reel here, one tweet there, one article in between. Slowly, our mind becomes shallow. We try to know everything, but don't understand anything in depth. The cost of this digital distraction is very subtle, which is why we don't feel immediately. But when the day ends and we think about what we did, it feels like nothing was completed. And this is the biggest loss: half-done work, scattered thoughts, and perpetual dissatisfaction. Foroux says that the first step to break this cycle is awareness. We have to understand what is distracting us and why. A powerful point he makes is that the root of distraction is not boredom, but discomfort. We run toward distraction to avoid uncomfortable emotions. When a task seems boring, or when we feel anxious, or when a conversation challenges us emotionally, we pick up the phone and start scrolling the feed. That temporary escape makes us feel good, but in the long term, it weakens our capacity. Foroux suggests that we should design our day in such a way that our attention remains safe. This means we will have to become intentional. Decide what to watch, when to watch, and how much to watch. Before reaching for the phone every time, ask yourself, is this necessary? Does this support my goal? Does this make me clearer or more confused? He also talks about morning routines, how the way we start the day sets the tone for the entire day. If we start looking at the phone as soon as we wake up, check notifications, then our mind goes into reactive mode. We are not controlling our day. Rather, the day is controlling us. But if we spend the first hour of the morning on intentional things, like journaling, reading, silence, deep work, then our attention gradually gets trained. To protect this attention, Foroux also gives some practical strategies, like using time blocks, creating distraction-free zones, taking digital detoxes, and most importantly, learning to tolerate boredom. When we sit without distraction, it feels uncomfortable at first, but then that same boredom slowly starts turning into ideas, into clarity. Our best thoughts come when we are just thinking, not when we are drowned in feed. Another interesting point he makes is the difference between deep work and shallow work. Often we are busy all day, but don't do anything meaningful. We are replying to emails, sending messages, switching tabs, but nothing is deep. Deep work is only possible where there is no distraction, where our brain can go into a state of flow. And to reach that zone, attention has to be disciplined. Because of distraction, our creativity also suffers. We think that scrolling will give us inspiration, but the opposite happens. The mind gets overwhelmed, comparison starts, and we start doubting ourselves. Foroux says that real inspiration comes from silence. When the mind is quiet, only then can it observe, imagine, and create. His entire message is that the price of distraction is not just time. It affects our peace of mind, the quality of our work, and even our identity. When we repeatedly listen to someone else's voice, we slowly lose our own voice. Therefore, it is essential that we reclaim our attention, using a direction where there is growth, clarity, and meaning. Reading all this, it feels like we all have been stuck in this trap at some point. But the good thing is that the way out is also with us. We just need a little awareness, a little courage, and a little structure. We can all design our day in such a way that there's less noise and more purpose. When we start understanding the value of our attention, we automatically become selective. We stop giving consent to everything and only choose those things that really matter to us. And this is the beginning of living attentively. Foroux doesn't scare us. He inspires. His style is like a friend softly saying, "You are capable, just become a little more conscious." And perhaps this is what touches us deeply. He teaches us that in today's world, saving your attention is the biggest achievement. Next time we pick up the phone without reason, just take a pause. Ask yourself, am I giving away my most precious asset to someone else? If the answer is yes, then the choice is ours to take it back, to invest in the right place, and to preserve our clarity even in the noise of distraction. This is Foroux' true message. Save your attention, because it is your real power. Often, at night, we lie down and think, I wish I had done this at that time. I wish I had taken that matter seriously. I wish I had spoken openly to that person. Such I wishes are the real regrets. Darius Foroux explains this emotion with great simplicity and truth. According to him, regret doesn't come just because we made a mistake, but because our actions don't match our values. When we do something that is different from the truth of our heart, then regret slowly grows inside. We all have felt at some point that we are doing something that doesn't feel right in our heart, but we do it because everyone is doing it or because this is what should be done. These small mismatches later turn into big regrets. Foroux says this. The way to avoid regret is not to become perfect, but to keep asking ourselves again and again, am I doing what is really important to me? This question seems small, but its impact is very deep. Imagine it before every decision. Every day we ask ourselves, Is this aligned with the purpose of my life? Then perhaps we could avoid many wrong steps. Often we live on autopilot. Same routine, same job, same complaints, without thinking whether these are really the things that fulfill us. Foroux asks to break this pattern. He explains that regret is not just remorse of the past. It is a signal. When we regret a choice, it is pointing towards some ignored truth within us. For example, if there is regret about a job, perhaps that job didn't match our passion or values. If there is regret about a relationship, perhaps we didn't express our emotions honestly. Regret is feedback, a mirror that shows where we compromise with ourselves. Now think, if we understand that the way to avoid regret is to stay aligned, meaning speak what we think and do what we say, then clarity automatically starts coming into life. Foroux encourages us to be proactive, meaning think beforehand and decide what is important to us. Only then can we make value-based decisions. Values don't just mean big words like honesty, kindness, growth, courage. They are the things that give meaning to our lives. Foroux says that if we are not clear about what our values are, we start living by others' standards. And when we make decisions according to others, regret is almost guaranteed. Another interesting thing is that sometimes regret doesn't come immediately. Today we compromise on something and think, it's okay, no problem. But as time passes, that very small thing starts feeling heavy. Years later, we realize that we ignored our dreams, suppressed our voice, postponed our priorities. Foroux says there is only one way to avoid future regret. Take conscious choices in the present. His focus is also on not judging our emotions. We should accept regret too, understand it. He says it's not necessary to turn regret into guilt. Instead, see it as a guide that tells you what you need to change now. This shift is very powerful when we use regret for self-growth instead of self-blame. Another layer that Foroux adds to this discussion is the sense of time. Time is the resource that runs out the fastest, and the biggest cause of regret is that we think, if I had more time, then I would have. But the truth is, time will always be limited. Therefore, we need clarity today itself on where we are investing our time. Is the work we are doing daily going to make our future self feel proud? Here, Foroux repeatedly emphasizes, consciously observe your actions. Are we making our life decisions driven by our fear or by our values? Are we living someone else's life for validation or following our true desires? When we ask ourselves these questions, our choices gradually become clearer. Now, don't think that Foroux is talking about some idealistic world where there are no problems. He himself says that in the real world, sometimes we have to compromise. But it is important to understand which value that compromise conflicts with. If we have understanding, then we don't regret because we took a conscious decision. Often we think that to avoid regret, just don't take risks. But Foroux considers this wrong. According to him, the biggest regret is the one where we never even tried, being afraid to live a dream completely, not showing vulnerability in a relationship, suppressing a talent. All these become silent regrets. Therefore, he says, live boldly but wisely. Listen to your heart, but walk with your mind. Take action, but stay aligned with your values. All these things feel very real and relatable because we all are at some crossroads where there are two paths. One easy but without purpose, and the other difficult but full of meaning. Foroux says, choose the second one because that is the beginning of a regret-free life. If you are at a crossroads, in some confusion about what is the right thing to do, then just ask yourself one question. Does this really matter to me? This question is like a compass. It will give you direction. When the mind is confused, when the world is loud, this direction will save you from those regrets that sting for years. From Foroux' words, it is clear that regret is not an enemy. It is a teacher. But to learn from it, we must know how to listen, to pause, and to ask, am I doing what I really should be doing? If we stop for a while every day and ask this question, then perhaps our life will become, if not regret-free, then at least regret-aware. In the end, the point is the same. To live a meaningful life, you need clarity, courage, and consistency. Clarity about what is important, courage to walk that path, and consistency to live that truth every day. And when these three come together, regret is replaced by satisfaction, guilt by growth, and confusion by purpose. This is the real win. This is Forrest's message. Match your actions to your values and see how life becomes free from regret and full of meaning. Fear is a word that, upon hearing, makes the heart shrink a little. Everyone has some fear in their life. Someone is afraid of failure, someone of rejection, someone of loneliness, someone of change. But Darius Foroux asks us to look at this fear from a different perspective. According to him, fear is not our enemy but a guide, a signal that tells us where we need courage. Stoic philosophy also teaches the same. Don't try to eliminate fear, but understand it, observe it, and use it. Whenever we think of taking a new step, the first thing that comes before us is fear. Starting a new job, speaking your heart to someone, taking a bold decision. Fear comes in the way everywhere. Forrest believes that instead of running away from this fear, we should ask ourselves, what opportunity is hidden behind this fear? Because fear comes only where something meaningful is happening, where something big can happen, where there is potential for growth. Think, if a person is afraid to speak on stage, then perhaps that is where their growth is, because that's where their self-expression lies. If someone is afraid to leave their job and start their own work, then perhaps their freedom is hidden there. Fear tells us where we are about to step out of our comfort zone. And stepping out of the comfort zone is the real meaning of courage. Forrest emphasizes that there is no need to suppress fear. The Stoic approach is not to become fearless, but to face the fear and still do the right thing. The Stoics believe that fear is a natural emotion. It alerts us, prepares us, but it should not stop us. Rather, when fear comes, it is a signal that we need a little extra strength, a little extra clarity, and a little extra faith right now. Often we make fear very big by overthinking it. We start showing ourselves scenarios of the future that don't even exist yet. Forrest says that most fears come from imagination, not from reality. And when we recognize that fear is just a thought created in our mind, its power over us starts to diminish. For example, a person who is afraid to go to a public event tires themselves out beforehand by thinking, what will people think? What if I behave awkwardly? What if someone starts judging me? But all these are stories of the mind. In the real world, people are mostly busy in their own thoughts. This awareness itself breaks the chain of fear. Forrest encourages us to talk to fear, not run from it. Imagine fear is sitting in front of you like a friend. Ask it, what do you want to show me? This simple shift, talking to fear, can empower us. When we understand the story behind the fear, we can grasp the clarity hidden within it. Stoicism has another beautiful concept, virtuous action. Meaning, action that matches our principles, courage, honesty, self-control, wisdom. Forrest says that whenever fear comes, consider a trigger for a virtuous action. If you are afraid to speak the truth, then perhaps speaking that truth is the right action for you. If you are afraid to challenge an unfair situation, then that courage will make you a better person. The easiest and truest technique to conquer fear is to take action. Fear causes paralysis, but action brings freedom. This is the core of Forrest's philosophy. He says the more we delay, the stronger the fear becomes. But as soon as we take even a small step, fear's grip loosens a little. And these small steps make us, in the long run, not fearless, but courageous. It's important to understand this difference. Becoming fearless means having no fear, but becoming courageous means moving forward even with fear. Forrest teaches that on the journey to greatness, it is normal, even necessary, for fear to appear. If fear doesn't come, then perhaps that path is too small. Another powerful point that Forrest makes is that we should categorize our fears. Not all fears are equal. Some fears are logical, like being afraid of fire or avoiding an accident. But some fears are purely psychological, like being afraid of someone's opinion or being afraid of the imagination of failure. The Stoic mindset teaches to first distinguish between these two types of fear. Then, where there is logical fear, ensure safety, and where there is psychological fear, move forward with self-awareness and reflection. Fear can slow us down, but if we understand it, that same fear can also push us in the right direction. Forrest also suggests that you keep a fear journal. Whenever a fear bothers you, write it down. What is the fear? Why is it there? What is the reality associated with it? This process provides clarity and often halves the intensity of the fear. Another idea that is very beautiful is, don't harbor regret because of fear. Think, if you don't do something just because you are afraid, and later you regret that decision, how expensive did that fear prove to be? Foroux says that short-term fear is more dangerous than long-term regret. Therefore, don't be afraid of temporary discomfort. It can make you stronger forever. So, friends, this was our book summary for today. How did you like it? Please tell us by commenting. And thank you for listening till the end of the summary.